So, hello everybody. Today we're going to play a hex encounter game. It's a war game by Herman Luttman, but it's a war game with a little twist because even the name will tell you that... No, I won't say that the name will tell you that they're not taking themselves terribly seriously, because they are taking, maybe not themselves seriously, but they're definitely taking the player seriously. So, with no further ado, from Tiny Battle, they came from another dimension. Savage aliens battle galactic marines for control of our universe. This is a single-player solitaire game. I have the PnP version, which you can download from their website. Hence, the way the map looks. Obviously, if you were to buy it, it would look a lot nicer. And I think I just need to read you the intro. Invaders from Dimension X is a solitaire game depicting the battles between the cracked 124th Galactic Marine Raider Battalion, nicknamed the Old Reprobates, of the Unified Space Alliance Defense Force, USADF, and the invading pods of a mysterious alien race commonly known as Chaots, roughly translated as the Cosmic Mother's Infestation Containment Bureau. These invading aliens crossed from another dimension, christened Dimension X, by the military after a wormhole research team from Outpost Skylar, located on the volcanic planet of Bria 7, accidentally drilled into their world. Oddly, Chaos laws of physics and mental logic are not the same as those of the human race inhabiting the Milky Way galaxy. Thus, this dimensional confluence causes the aliens to seemingly move and fight in a random and chaotic manner. The only consistency Marine generals have discerned is one strange tendency. The Chaots use the same set of battle tactics in the same frequency in nearly any and every engagement. This is akin to them following a scrambled-up playbook of strategies and is the only factor that makes them somewhat predictable. One other recent discovery, based on an intercepted and translated communique, is that the Chaots are absolutely determined to eradicate the human race from this dimension. When the aliens discovered that human weaponry can actually kill Chaos warriors, they became frenzied. It turns out that Chaos warfare is comparatively civilized on their homeworld of Nella Mit. Enemy warriors are rarely killed, but instead neutralized. Stunned and paralyzed prisoners are gathered up and kept in huge enclaves to be used as slaves or for scientific research. Well, the slaves part would be reminiscent of the Spartans, because that's what they did to the Helots. Ironically, humans naturally consider such practices to be even more barbaric than death on the battlefield. Therefore, the war has become a truly desperate struggle between two different and very determined foes. Now, the game comes with two maps. This is the first map, and there's another one the same size, but it looks different. This is for the first. This is the battle map. Zone Alpha. What they do in the first paragraph is they give you a reason. First of all, they give you the backstory, but they also set you up for solitaire play, because the problem with solitaire play is quite often in a game like this, how do you simulate the other side? Because there are people who say, well, if I have to play both sides to my best ability, I'm not really playing solitaire, I'm playing two sides, I'm playing two-handed, as it were. But in a war game, arguably, it can be a bit difficult to play solitaire, because you're playing against someone, and this someone has to have some sort of AI, because otherwise what are you going to do? So they have found a really, really good way around this by saying that we know that the only thing we know about them is that they are completely different in their way of thinking and in their way of acting and making decisions. But what we have found out is that they always use the same set of tactics. And the same set of tactics is applied across every single battle people have ever engaged in with these Chaots. And these battle plans, if you like, are represented by, and I'm going to try and find one that isn't cut off badly, because again, this is a print and play, so I'm very bad at doing these things. So what you have here is a Chaos activation chit, if I can get this to focus, and on the back it actually tells you what's going to happen. Now, of course, since the AI cannot really see what's happening on the battlefield at any given moment. When you simply have a chit pull mechanism, this may sound and lead to quite a lot of, let's say, random and maybe even by human standards, erratic behavior. So they're just basically moving around and doing weird things. But by setting it up in such a way that these guys think so differently from humans, they actually have a good way of explaining this away without, so people don't have to find it so difficult to suspend their disbelief and kind of go, well, this would never happen. Yes, it would happen if you were to encounter a race whose thoughts are so completely differently. And of course, subterfuge and strange ways of behaving are, of course, things that you could find as and even like trying to distract the enemy by doing something completely irrational, not even unexpected, but irrational, where you kind of go, this would never happen. Nobody in their right minds would do this. Well, if I'm trying to really, really, really confuse you, and if I'm in a really desperate situation, I might. So I like the way how they set it up to bring people who may have never played a war game, and let alone a war game of this type, where you actually are relying on an AI which by definition cannot be really intelligent. You're explaining it away by saying, well, their way of thinking is so different from our way of thinking that we simply cannot even grasp what they're trying to do there. So there is a finite number of chits. I believe it's 20 chaos activation chits, which means that you can play up to 18 or 19 turns, depending on the order in which they come out, because one or two of them ask you to draw more than one. Then we also have these chits over here. So you would put them in a cup and you would draw randomly from them. And here we have the winning conditions. And you also keep those face down. And at certain intervals in the game, you remove them, but not until the very last one. The last one always remains in play. And then, once you have played the game more than one time, you actually can tell which ones are still out, because you would know them, and you would hopefully remember them. And then you can kind of plan ahead and think, okay, we know from experience that there is only this much that the aliens will do. Okay, this is the extent to their variability in behaviors, and then we know exactly what else is left. So as you can see, this game is a chit pull mechanism driven game. I'm gonna get cups for the other chits. You don't really need that many cups, but I like my cups. I like my chit pull in cups. So these ones are really important. You must never look at them. And I'm actually just going to put it over here. And with my reading glasses on, I couldn't read anything that's so far away anyways. So let's take a look at the map. You have different terrain. This is a lava pit, I guess. And nobody can move on it. So it isn't even numbered. Each hex has a 3-digit number, 166, 354. And when you determine a hex number, what you do is you roll 3d6. The first one determines the 100. The second one determines the 10. And the third one determines the unit. And that's how you find out particular hex numbers when you make particular decisions of where to put things randomly. Here you've got a road. And movement on a road for a human is half a movement point. And you can tell what their movement allowance is by looking at a chit. So here we've got a Marine squad. And in the upper right corner, this arrow pointing upwards with a number in it is the movement allowance. In this case, it's 3. So this guy could go coming onto the board 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. Or normal terrain is, I believe, 1 movement factor. I don't know if it's actually on here. Movement, yes it is. Forest and rough, so that would be forest and yeah, rough. I don't know if there's rough on this one. So this is lava. This is a building. This is also a building. This is a bridge. And this is clear terrain, and for clear terrain they actually don't give you a movement allowance. And actually this is not supposed to be red, just in case you can make this out. There are red streaks, that is actually the glue coming through. This is not really red, so it should be green. So everything that is rough terrain is 2 movement points. So over here, these ones here. All of the rest is 1, and the road is a half. You can't go onto the lava flow. If you are stunned, you have -1 movement point. If you're paralyzed, you can't move. If you fire fully and you don't do a shoot and scoot, you cannot move, but you can fire. If you do a shoot and scoot, which means, let's say this guy has 3 movement points, he could get his movement allowance halved to 1.5. He could move half, 1, 1, and 1.5, and then he could shoot. There is no there's no range of fire. You can shoot at everything you can see. And then he can shoot, and for shoot and scoot his combat factor is reduced, and that's actually the wrong side. His combat factor is reduced by 1. So he's got a combat factor of 4 for his sidearm, so he would then roll 3 dice. And the dice you roll are d6s, and you attack your friends over here. So let's pull out one of our opponents. This is an alien, a chaot. He's got a combat value of 5, and he's got a shield of 3, so you need to get, I believe, 3 or higher. Let me just check. I believe it's, you have to equal. This is something that they didn't write down on the map. Oh, it has to be greater than the units dn is a hit. So essentially in this case we would have to roll 3 4s on 3 dice, or 3 5s, 3 6s, so it would be 50% that we can actually manage this. So this is how the game plays. I would like to draw your attention again to the rule set. It also comes with an explanatory sheet which explains what the Chaos activation sheet markers actually do. This is a game by Herman Luttman, and you may know him from Dawn of the Zeds. Now, if you've watched my channel, you know that I didn't really like Dawn of the Zeds at all, which is probably my expectation of the game, which wasn't met at all, because I expected something like a State of Siege game, and it's actually not. for various reasons, which I won't go into now. But this is a completely different game. Now, apparently, Herman Luttman is a maker of war games. I have never come across him before, but that doesn't mean anything at all. It's just that he wasn't a name that I was familiar with. And he made this game, apparently, because he wanted to make games that could appeal to a wider audience. And unfortunately, of course, war games don't necessarily do this. But at the same time, he wanted to make a hex and counter game, which was a war game. And this is a war game by all counts and purposes. It's not even simplified. I mean, the only thing that you don't have is range, but you do have line of sight. So line of sight works the following way. You take the center of a hex and then you draw a line, an imaginary line, of course, to the hex that you're trying to fire into. And let's take this hex here. If I'm trying to fire into this, I will cross this wooded area, and so it would impact this. So there is this as well. They are taking care of all of this. They have resupply, so you can actually ensure that people who have run out of ammo are resupplied. So you've got a logistics factor in there. You also have the HQ factor. HQ can do different things. You've got rallying calls and so on and so forth. So you have a lot of things that you would find in a normal war game as well. So I think that they really, really take their players seriously. They really take their players seriously. If you buy this or if you get this, I mean, if you download it, it's $10. And then you just have to invest in the printing and hopefully do a better job than me. So again, when we play and you look at these counters, of course, the cuts are very rough, but this is just me. When you print them off, the counters are perfect, and it's really just my problem and not the game's problem at all. Anyways, they take the player seriously. They made a game, or he made a game that you can play if you want to play a war game, and if you're maybe new to this kind of game, or if you for some reason don't want to play historical war games, and I could think of a million reasons why somebody wouldn't want to do this. Theme, maybe historical background, maybe your own ethnic background. A lot of people might not be interested in World War II, depending on their own personal history or their family's histories. I get all that, but this is completely taken out of history because it's a not even a what if scenario. It's a this is never going to happen. But in spite of this, they have taken great pains to make this like a real historical war game. You have scenarios, and I have to as a German native speaker, I have to congratulate somebody on naming Brigadier General Helmut von Schnitzelblitz. If Germany had fast food restaurants, I believe they would be called Schnitzelblitz, because it means fast schnitzel. And of course, he has joined a special relief task force formed by Marine heroine Lieutenant Layla Smashbottom. As a female wargamer, I salute Herman Luttman for bringing in a female character and a female named character. I cannot tell you how important this is, and I was very chuffed when I looked at the warfighter cards and there were also female soldiers in there. Not in the ones that I have, but I don't know which ones Ricky Royal has, but Ricky Royal has female soldiers in his decks. It is important, and it's nice to be represented. But like I said, they're really taking the player seriously, down to the historical references, because of course every war game worth its salt will cite historical references, and in this case they are Killing Schnitzelblitz by Will O'Reilly, A Wormhole Too Far by Thomas Ernay, The Bridges of Nelamit by Anton Noyer, Kram Mateus, The Butcher of Osnamderf by David Tendari, The Art of Chaos War, Chaos Battle Tactics by Chris Nesner, Saving Sergeant Skinner by Scott Demney, The Rise and Fall of the Chaotic Empire by Kerry Ganal, and All Quiet on the 12th Dimensional Front by John Alisa. And in the designer notes, Mr. Luttman writes, Thank you for purchasing and playing Invaders from Dimension X. The basic concept for this insane game, a system based on total random chaos, came to me one afternoon while enjoying a nice Shipyard Monkey Fist IPA. I have no idea what this is, if this is something to eat or a game or I don't know. The idea to do an irreverent chaos game design had been percolating away in my warped brain. And this is his quote, I'm not making this up. Warped brain for quite a while. I've designed a number of historical games that use a kind of chaos theory to reflect the truly confusing fog of war nature of historical battlefields. And applying that theory a step further into a science fiction realm always intrigued me. I didn't do anything with the idea until I got the thought of presenting it to Mark Walker as a unique design for his new company. I felt it was just the kind of fun little game that Mark would really enjoy publishing. When he immediately gave a big thumbs up to the proposal, my trusty developer Fred Manzo and I got to work and we banged out the basics of the game in one weekend. We had so much fun putting the design together that we didn't want to stop playing. And once Fred came up with the awesome idea of framing the game as a 1950s era sci-fi pulp fiction game, it was even more thematic and enjoyable. There is so much possible story in the game's narrative that if things go well, we already have 2 or 3 expansions in mind. So thank you again for purchasing the game and please enjoy. Have a blast and embrace the Chaos universe. Good gaming. I actually don't know when this came out. But I believe Geek Gamer said that there are already 2 more in this series. I would also personally like to thank Tiny Battle for making this a print and play version, because getting American games of this nature in Europe is almost impossible. You usually have to import them from America yourself. And this would probably cost, I don't know how much the game is if you don't take the print and play version, but I think maybe $20, but the shipping would be $35. There you have it. So it's really great because I saw this on Geek, and this is the reason why I'm playing this, is Geek Gamers did it on her channel, and it's just a brilliant little game, and I wanted to play this, and I wanted to do a full playthrough and a blind playthrough. So before I sign off now, I'm going to set up the Running the Gauntlet scenario. So, you use map zone alpha for this scenario. Play 1 Chaos Overlord unit in hex 115 on its active side. So we're just gonna take an Overlord. No, oops. Any Overlord will do. So this is an Overlord over here. And we're just gonna put him in 115, which is up here. On its active side, switch it over. Place all the remaining Chaos units, including the monolith, into a cup and then deploy 1 randomly selected Chaos unit from the cup. Okay, so I'm not going to put them in a cup, I'm just going to put them over here for a second. I'm just going to draw, including the monoliths. Okay. I don't know what the monoliths do. I'm doing a blind playthrough. In each of the following hexes, 111 is another Overlord. I don't know if that's good. Probably not. 111. Okay. 113 is a normal warrior, also on its active side, over here. And 121, and it's a warrior. And 123 is also a warrior. 125 is a warrior. And lastly, 131, it's another warrior. 131, it's over here, it's beyond the lava pit. And 133. So that's number 10, it's also a warrior. Yeah. Okay, they're all on their active sides. They all have different firing abilities. So the Overlords have a fire ability of 2 and a defense of 4. Warrior 3 has 5 fire, well, he's strong, and 3 defense. Warrior 5 has 2 attack, 3 defense. Warrior 11 has 5 and 3. Warrior 5 has 2 and 3. Warrior 6 has 3 and 3, and Warrior 10 is 4 and 3. So yeah, that's going to be difficult. Okay. Marine units enter the game from off-map and enter at hex 322, which is where the road is, paying the normal road cost for that hex, so only half. If this hex is occupied by an alien unit, the units are delayed 1 turn and brought in and on the closest map edge, hex to 322. The Marine Task Force enters in 4 distinctive groups, one on each of 4 consecutive game turns, starting with the first. Individual units within each group may enter in any order on that turn. Advance Guard, first game turn, 2 scout units. So I'm going to get 2 scouts. Yeah, this is difficult to read because it's white on blue. That's a Marine squad. Special Ops, Marine squad. Yeah, what are you? And I'm already wearing my reading glasses and I can't make it out. Okay, here's a scout. So I'm just gonna put him here. 1 scout. Are you a scout? Yeah, that's also a scout. So we have 2 scouts here. They have jump packs. I'm going to explain what they do later. The main body group, 1 HQ and 1 heavy weapons unit. Where is HQ? Heavy weapons is over here. I'm going to put him here. And HQ. I think this is an HQ. Are you not? Yes, you are. No, you're a scout, sorry. Logistics, Special Ops, Scout, Marine Squad, Marine Squad, Marine Squad, Special Ops, Marine Squad, Logistics, Heavy weapons. I'm sorry, I really find it difficult to read this. Here we are, HQ. Okay, so this is his ready side. First supply train group, which is 1 logistics and 1 marine squad. Okay, logistics and marine squad. And 1 logistics and 1 marine squad is the last one. So here we are, logistics and 1 marine squad. Okay, so we've got these guys coming in. Marine reinforcements summoned by the request reinforcements special action must also enter the game at hex 322 from off-map. Units that are already part of one of the 4 groups may not enter earlier as a summoned reinforcement. Instant victory if the player is able to move both logistics units off the east map edge, paying the MP cost off the map edge hex from which it leaves, along with 1 HQ unit and 1 combat unit, marine squad, heavy weapons or special ops. He wins immediately. Yes, that's not going to happen. Okay. So that's the scenario we will be playing. I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, so this is actually the wrong side. Okay, so, but I will have to switch cameras because I need to get the one with the better resolution and the higher frame rate. And also, this one is out of juice at this stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this cat proof. Having said this, I will probably not let them in at the moment. So I'm just going to take down the camera now and I will upload this. And this is the setup for Invaders from Dimension X by Herman Luttman, scenario number 1 on the Alpha map zone. And I wish you a pleasant rest of the day.